Hello, I'm Thabang.
And I'm Mischke,
And this is Spilling the Tea podcast.
Today, it's not just our voices you will be hearing, but we invited a single Christian man, one of our friends, to come and give their perspective.
We're very excited to have Brendan over because we are going to find out what the other gender thinks.
Yes.
So stay tuned, and again, welcome back. And we're looking forward to see what he has to say.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Let's get into it. So here we are with my friend, Brendan. We met quite a few years ago at university. And yeah, I just thought it would be such a good idea to talk to the male perspective of single life as a Christian in today's world, especially social media and everything that goes with that. But first, let's get to know the guy behind the social media.
Well, you know me well enough already. We have known each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
How many years has it been? Since 2013.
Yeah. I wanted to count and then I was like, no, we're giving our age away.
Not that old.
Yeah. So tell us, what is your story? What is your story if you think single Christian guy and where you are now, where you were, where you are now, that journey in between?
So if I think back, even back to school, I was actually quite a late bloomer to the whole relationships scene. I was born in Dundee, and then after grade 6, I moved. I ended up having to go to boarding school in Clifton, Nottingham Road. So boarding school for grade 7, straight into boarding school for grade 8 through to matric. So like, I didn't have that chance to establish myself in that grade 7, grade 8 space. So by the time I got to high school, everyone had come from elsewhere. They already had girlfriends that they were bringing from grade 7, and so I just never had that chance. And yeah, eventually got a girlfriend towards grade 10, end of grade 10 I think it was, or like beginning of grade 10. And from there, yeah, I'd say that my relationship journey has been a bit of a tumultuous one. I never had the best outlook on relationships because of growing up in a pretty rough household environment. I love my parents dearly, but they were not the greatest husband and wife to each other when we were growing up. So my perspective of relationships was a little bit skewed. And then you fall into all the things that boys fall into when you get to school and stuff like that. So that also didn't help a lot. But fortunately, I did find Christ when I was in grade 9. So I got baptized when I was in grade 9. And even though it's been a bit of a tug of war, between myself and what God wants for me, it's always kind of guided me at least somewhat. And then obviously you get to varsity. We met in varsity, and we know what first year especially is like. First year, second year, had one or two relationships that probably weren't the greatest for me either, and I think it was because I hadn't dealt with what my view of relationships was, or what my picture of a relationship was like. So I ended up gravitating towards one or two girls that maybe weren't the best for me as a person, and I think it kind of just put me back a little bit in terms of being able to step into a relationship that was more fulfilling. So yeah, it's definitely been an interesting journey, and yeah, just still haven't found anyone as of yet. So still single at 31. At 31, so yeah, still single at 31. So that it's become a little more difficult as the years go on, and as the world tends to become louder about what you should and shouldn't have achieved by the time you get to our age. So yeah, it's and whenever somebody, I hear it all the time, like, why aren't you married? What's wrong with you?
Well, he changes. He goes from, oh, what's wrong with the other people? Why aren't they seeing this nice guy? And then he changes to,
Yeah. So, and interestingly enough, one of the other ones that, and I, you know, being a Christian guy, I'm not perfect. I'm far from it, and I think I'd be silly not to acknowledge that. But one of the issues that I tend to face a lot, and I get it. I see it a lot in my social media. I think if it weren't for TikTok, I wouldn't have experienced it as much. But the older you get, and the more time you spend in that single phase as a male at my age, the more people ask whether you're actually attracted to women or not. So it's actually something I face quite a lot, where a lot of people are like, okay, well, in that case, are you attracted to something else then? I'm like, no, it's just that I'm single right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm in the other box. So
yeah.
I would have never I don't think that would have been such a big, thing that I would have come up against if it weren't for the fact that I get to see it every day on social media.
Yeah.
You
It's in
open
your
my
face.
DMs, it's in my face. A lot.
Really?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay, so I know in the beginning, last year when you started with all your lives,
Yeah.
I want to say, use the word like the thirsty messages you would get on your
Yes.
lives. I would
Yeah.
laugh and I'm like, friend, did you see this one? Lol.
Yes.
But then it got a lot that even as an outsider being like, whoa. And it's not just like, oh, you're so cute. But I want to use the thirsty
Yes.
messages that you
Yeah.
get. And I think that also as like a Christian guy, getting those thirsty messages and can be triggering.
Yeah. No, it's definitely it's a resulting issue of what we face in today's day and age, 2025. Everything is social media, everything is online. So there's this constant noise. I think women experience it a lot more than what men do. From a visual perspective on social media, a girl can post a story and it's just hartjies, likes, hearts, flames,
I like your
clapping hands,
feet.
all these little,
Show me your feet.
all these things that you get in the DMs, or people reacting to stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Men, even with my growth on social media, I still don't get it as much if I put a story up on Instagram. I get these weird, messages or advances on TikTok. Someone will just send a little wave, or you'll get a slightly more upfront message, if I can call it that. I've received 1 or 2 essays before, and I'm just like, okay, but it's a very small part of who I am, and you thinking that this image that you see of me on social media is who I am as a whole person is not true. So I appreciate the fact that you think we would work well together. The chances that we will are quite slim, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What do you do as a Christian guy when you get faced with stuff like this? Thirsty messages. I'm going to also say the other type of messages that's out there, as for men, especially being maybe sexually active or stuff like that. How do you go back and say, but okay, maybe go back to God or to the word, to the truth, and saying, but I'm shutting that down?
Yeah. So if I can give anyone, even girls, even ladies, a piece of advice, is social media inherently, or online, anything, social media, dating apps, anything like that. But if we're talking specifically social media, people will obviously put a lot of value or a heavy weight on these kinds of advances and messages and things like that. My advice is don't read into it at all. Don't even open the messages. Open the message, have a look to see if it's someone that's genuinely trying to connect with you, or in my case, if it's a company or someone asking me for advice on something, I'll open the message, I'll read. If I see that it's just somebody taking a chance at sending one of these kinds of messages or trying to get my attention in that way, I used to respond, and then I started realizing that the amount of energy that I have to put in from myself to put into this message, because you want to send a message back and say thank you so much, that's very kind of you. You want to be nice to the person, but I just realized that it's not doing anything for me, and it's not doing anything for them by even acknowledging.
Yeah, because then it can start a snowball of another type of conversation.
It can.
But like, why
It
aren't you
can.
interested? And
Yeah, it can. So,
yeah.
and you'll find that people will message you, they'll send you a DM, and then when they realize that they're not getting your attention there, they'll start leaving certain comments in the comment section to try and trigger you into responding. And
Yeah.
I've fallen for that once or twice as well. But the moment I feel that that's what their intention is, I just stop responding altogether. So my advice is, don't read into it. Read it, don't read into it. And go straight back to the word. Spend time in church. Spend time at U group or cell group or whatever your kind of group is. Make sure that you're spending time with your Christian like-minded friends as well, and spending time with them is the important part, because what happens is, if we spend a lot of time on social media and we read into these messages the whole time, but we're not spending physical time with other people that believe the same as us and want the same for us as what we want for them, whether they are, even if you go and have coffee with a married Christian couple that you know, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're a single person, go spend time with married Christian couples. It's the best thing that you could do for yourself. But make sure that if you are in that space where you are receiving a lot of these DMs, approaches, things like that on social media, make sure that you're drowning that out as much as possible with physical time that you're spending with other people, especially other Christian people.
Yeah, people that can hold you accountable as well when they see you going off in another route that you're not supposed to be. Like, hey,
yeah, but it's not even an
terug.
accountability thing. It's just that you need something to drown that noise out. You need something there has to be something, and there's nothing better than an actual physical conversation with somebody else, just to remind you that being present and being here with people is more important than reading into some silly DM that somebody sent you.
That people that don't know
Because
you.
you're never gonna, the chances that you're ever gonna meet that person, the chances that anything's ever gonna come from that is nil.
Yeah.
Zero. So if you're gonna get nothing from that, you may as well get nothing get nothing in terms of a relationship or potential relationship from spending time with a married couple. You're not going to get a relationship out of it. You're not going to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend out of that because they're married.
And unless they know somebody that they
unless they know, but you'll never get there unless you're spending time with people.
And they get to know you as well.
Yeah.
So something that we've been really speaking about is identity, and especially as women, who we listen to and what we take in to form our identity.
Yeah.
And what do you see out there as what is forming guys' identity out there today?
So, interestingly enough, I'll go back to the Bible, because I was watching a podcast. I said I like the Diary of a CEO, and I was watching a podcast with Bill von Hippel. Now he leans very much into the evolutionary side of stuff, and all the scientific reasoning and papers that have been published in that. One of the things that he said that I found quite interesting was what men look for in women and what women look for in men. And I believe that has a large portion of that has got something to do with the identity that we hold for ourselves. And he was saying that men look for a physical fulfillment from women, and women look for there's a whole picture that women look for when it comes to men. So it can be anything from your personality to the way that you look to the money that you earn. So there's a very wide, so women have generally, more often than not, got a very wide range that they can select from when it comes to what they're looking for in a man, whereas men are pretty much only looking for a physical fulfillment from women. And I thought that's interesting because he's speaking about it from a published scientific perspective. You don't have to go very far to find the reasoning in the Bible. God created Adam as a whole person, took one look at him and said, it's not good, he needs a helper. And he took something from Adam to create Eve. So men are looking for a physical fulfillment in women to complete that identity, whereas woman came from man. So she has an entire picture that she's looking for when it comes to a man. So in the world, men generally tend to face pressure from all angles in terms of what can form your identity. Everything from what you look like physically. Are you funny? Are you supportive and patient? Are you earning a lot of money? All of these. Or ambitious.
Yes.
Are you taking enough risks? Which I think is what drives so many young guys in today's generation to try and become some kind of entrepreneurial whiz, because the moment you step into that entrepreneurial space, those key identifiers, if you want to call them that, start becoming very prominent. Like you're taking a big risk, you're starting a new company, you have to lean on your own, understanding all the time. You have to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with other like-minded people. So it definitely pushes men into that space where you find guys are taking a lot more risks now to become self-dependent or independent beings. And obviously social media has a large part to play in the chatter that guys are seeing. Everyone's driving Lambos, everyone's doing this, everyone's got the girl, everyone's got the money in the house. So that image. And again, you just I'd encourage guys to just go back to the Bible and just make sure that you're spending time with an older, established male figure of some kind, whether it's your father. Like my dad is an incredible role model to me. He's become such a great father, and he's always been a great father. He just wasn't the greatest husband initially to my mom, but like even now they're best friends now. So I would very much encourage, even like my soul group, my U group leader, I look at him, he's basically the same age as me, but he's got 3 kids under 6 years old or 5 years old. So I mean, he's a great person to just go and sit and have a coffee with, and he'll take one look at me and he'll be like, I feel that you're coming back around into a better space than what you were previously. So
well, that's a mouthful. Thank you so much, Brain, for your time. Really appreciate it. Next week, Thabang will chat a little bit more with him about the specifics in social media, and let's see what comes out of that. But thank you so much for your time, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.